Good morning. It's Friday, October 22nd. And this morning I want to talk about the razor-thin margin that the Democrats hold in Congress and in the Senate, and a major threat to those thin margins. And that threat is coming from something we recognize as inflation. Now, I go shopping quite often, and every time I go to the supermarket or to some other store, I find that the price of the item that I bought a couple of weeks ago is now 5% higher or 3% higher. And I drive past the gas stations. Fortunately, I don't have to get gas because I'm driving a Prius that's a plug-in and it's electric, and I have to get gas about twice a year or something like that. I very rarely have to put gas into my car. So that hasn't been a problem for me. But it's a problem for many people in this country. And I believe that the cost of these goods, the continued rising cost of goods and services and automobiles have gone crazy. And this is a threat to Joe Biden and the Democrats with their razor-thin margin in the House and in the Senate. So I'm making a prediction right now because it looks like, in my mind, and I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, I'm making a prediction that in 2022 the Democrats will lose seats. They will then become the minority party again. And I don't think that's good for the country, but that's the way it's going to be because of inflation. And because we, and I use that term referring to all the people in this country, because we can't stop inflation that easily. Now, Joe has been trying to do that. He's been trying to replace as many truck drivers as possible to get goods delivered. He's asked FedEx and other units of delivery to work non-stop 24/7 to get to the piers and empty the boats and everything. But it's not working. It's not really working. Because what's happening here is the people. We haven't gotten back to work. And it's not Joe's fault. It's not really anybody's fault, although the opposition will say it's Joe's fault. We have a pandemic that's going on. It's a major cause of the problems in this country. And there's no easy way to win that battle. We've got the vaccinations. We've got the vaccines. But we're not 100% there. And so this inflationary situation is going to bring down the Democratic Party. And now, I don't want you to be too upset about that. Probably there are many of you out there who would be happy maybe that the Democratic Party goes down. Now, Joe and his team have been consulting with the oil industry to try and keep the prices down, but that's not working. And I believe that they've been working 24/7 across the board on all of these problems that we're facing with inflation. And moving materials and goods through the supply chain quickly is a major issue. But we don't have enough truck drivers. So they've loosened the rules to get people commercial licenses. But that's not really working. So the bottom line here is this is a gigantic economic challenge. And it doesn't matter whether you are a Republican or a Democrat. Any administration would have difficulty sorting through this. So I think it would probably be pretty unfair to the Democrats to take the heat for this. But they're the party in power, and the party in power takes the heat all the time. So I don't think the monumental efforts that are being put forth and the trying and etc. is really going to work in favor of the Democratic because I don't think they're promoting it properly. And it's really unfair and unclear to look at these efforts and say that they're a failure, because the economy sort of has a life of its own. And this is what it's living, this is what is happening in the middle of this pandemic. So I think that much of this is beyond the control of the White House. It's beyond anybody's control. The pandemic has a life of its own. And this inflationary cycle that we have cannot be stopped. As long as our workforce is limited and people are trapped, so to speak, in this environment, we just have to let the pandemic run its course. And we have to hope that come November 2022, that the Democrats somehow or other can hang on to their slim majority. Although I doubt that very much. And so I tell you what, I think we're going to be looking at higher prices for the next year or so. And that's not a good thing. But we're going to have to make do. And let's hope most of us live through this situation. Because I guess higher prices is a cheap cost to pay for life. But it's an ugly situation. So I leave you with that this morning. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.